I came into this district, which was 1989, the start of 89, there was a small group of departmental extension staff here, primarily working on more the animal side of the industry, so livestock nutrition, livestock management, breeding, genetics, etc. It was also towards the end of the brucellosis and tuberculosis eradication campaign. There was some emphasis on probably sown pastures as opposed to native pasture management, but really the emphasis was on the livestock. And it was interesting, the 1980s as a decade were well below average rainfall. There was two heavy droughts in there, 82, 83 and 87, 88. The first time I drove through this district, I drove from Mount Garnet down to the Beliendo crossing, 200 k's south of Charters Towers, from Townsville to Hughenden, that's going east-west. Most of the paddocks, most of the properties were completely bare, just eaten out. There was a few that weren't, but most of them were in very poor condition. I had some skills in land management, but primarily in cropping, so it was a matter of trying to transfer those principles from cropping, which are basically maintaining good ground cover, into the pastoral industry. And that was my challenge. We're about to cross Lulworth Creek, so this is a permanent watercourse, or permanently flowing watercourse that will, after a big wet season, will run for many years, even though it may turn into quite a severe drought. It's fed largely by a series of basalt springs going back as far as 160 kilometres further upstream. Its water is usually very good quality, clear as crystal, and that's probably one of the things that attracted early settlers to this part of the world, permanent water for livestock. So fairly soon the group in Charters Towers increased quite dramatically with research and extension to put more of a focus on land management in addition to the cattle husbandry. I was very fortunate when I came here. I had one good mentor in particular. I learned a lot from him and probably fairly passively absorbing information from him. He didn't know he was a mentor, but he fulfilled the mentor role very well. And so I learned a lot about the industry. Prior to arriving here, what I knew about the beef industry, you could write in the back of a postage stamp, so I had a huge amount to learn, and I picked it up quite quickly. From there, the industry and the local producers were very keen to try and get this catchment back into reasonable condition. And it coincided with the formation of a local land care group, a very active land care group, which was the initiative of the graziers in the district. And I guess for a lot of my extension work, I coattailed on that land care committee with, I believe, quite good results. So over the years, and there's been drought cycles, there's been good cycles, generally speaking, the trend with ground cover and pasture cover has been positive. I guess you can look at a catchment, you can say, well, when do you assess how good the condition of the catchment is? And I believe it's at the end of each drought cycle, when you can see what's left at the end of the drought cycle, as far as what's on the ground, versus in a good season when it's easy to grow grass. So that's the benchmark. And the benchmark's been positive, but fairly slowly positive, but the trend is in the right direction.